Welcome back to my Maniac mind. Lights low, door locked. Tonight, we're peeling back the layers on one of the most calculating predators in modern history, Kanae Kijima. We've heard the headlines, but the real horror isn't just that she killed. It's that she hacked the very foundation of human trust. We aren't just looking at how she did it. We're examining the architecture of a predator who turned society's greatest vulnerabilities into her private ATM. Let's address the elephant in the room. How did she get away with it for so long? Why did the police see a series of tragic suicides instead of a cold-blooded killer? In Japan, the cultural weight of suicide is staggering, with over 20,000 lives lost annually. When a solitary man dies in a locked room with a charcoal burner, a known, common, and tragic method, the police are often conditioned to mark the case as clean and move on. Kanae was a ghost because she lived in the blind spots of a system that was exhausted by its own statistics. She relied on the suicide veil, knowing that investigators were predisposed to see a grieving partner rather than a murderer. It wasn't administrative laziness. It was a systemic tragedy that she exploited with surgical, heartless precision. Now, let's talk about the social hack. Her konkatsu scheme was a masterpiece of emotional engineering. She didn't hunt for victims. She curated a persona that was a perfect, distorted mirror of their deepest needs. She would scour a victim's online presence for the things they missed most. The warmth of a home-cooked meal, the desire for a family, the need to be seen by someone. Then, she would weave those desires into her own narrative. If a man felt lonely, she would send photos of meals in progress, not to show off her skills, but to create a sense of shared, domestic time. By the time they met, they weren't vetting a stranger. They were meeting the cure for their own existence. She wasn't scamming them. She was fulfilling the fantasy they were already desperate to believe in. In the courtroom, the defense tried to play the mental fog card, hoping to paint her as a woman spiraling into an insomnia-driven breakdown. But the prosecution turned the trial into a forensic investigation that left no room for fog. They laid out a titanium chain of facts. The mortar she used to grind the sedatives, the DNA-like residue found in the victim's blood, the purchase history of the charcoal burners tied to her unique IP address, and the timing of the bank transfers that happened mere hours after the deaths. The most chilling proof? The physics. The lack of soot in the victim's airways proved they were already sedated long before the fires were lit. It wasn't a suicide. It was a staged execution. This leads us to the question of the death penalty. Why do courts, even when faced with defense claims of psychiatric issues, choose the ultimate measure for women like Kanae or the cyanide-wielding Chisako Kakehi? It's because the courts distinguished between a breakdown and agency. They saw a person who meticulously planned, repeatedly acted, and then brazenly profited. The Japanese judiciary views these acts as a rejection of the basic moral contract of society. When you strip away the claims of distress, you are left with an individual who views other human beings as disposable commodities. The courts and the public alike saw this as an irredeemable malice that required the ultimate consequence to preserve the core of society. And what of her life now, inside the Tokyo detention house? It's perhaps the most unsettling detail of all. She is currently housed in the absolute isolation of death row, yet she acts as if she is still the director of a play. She has gone by multiple names, married from behind bars, and maintained a blog that serves to propagate her own Black Widow legend. She isn't rotting in guilt. She's actively curating her own myth. It's a terrifying look into a personality that cannot experience reality without attempting to dominate it. She isn't hiding from who she is. She is trying to sell you a version of herself where she is still in control, even from the edge of the abyss. But there is a shield against this kind of darkness: awareness. If you or someone you love is feeling that crushing weight of loneliness, don't let it become a vulnerability. Reach out. In the US, the NAMI hotline at 1-800-9506-264 is a true lifeline. And tools like MoodPath can help you stay connected to your own worth. Your life is not a commodity, and no one is entitled to write the story of your end. Kanae Kijima is a haunting reminder that we must always scan smiles with a microscope. Stay sharp, look out for your support network, and never let anyone isolate you from the people who truly see you. Smoke hides fangs. Always. Thanks for diving into these endless, complex shadows with me. This is my Maniac Mind, and we'll see you in the next one.